Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to talk about a book I have already read several days ago. The name of this book, as you can see here, is The Price of China's Economic Development. It's about the power, capital, and the poverty of rice. I must say that this PDF is downloaded from the online library of our university, University of New South Wales, and many of them you can see here is just the marks, the lines, underlines, the marks here is I made on the PDF, and all the videos will just about my personal opinion about the book and the issues this book talk about. So if you have any ideas, just write them on the in the comments. So let's start. From the contents. This book has three chapters, and each chapter talks about the one issue of the power capital institution. Compared with many books about the Chinese economy, this book focuses on the political area and the social area rather than the economic area. Uh, this book talks about is just due to the deprivation and the poverty of political rights that the Chinese is economically poor. Then let's start from the introduction. Introduction is here a tale of two China's power capital China and rice deprived China. Since the opening up and reform in 1978, China has transformed from a planned economy to a market one, from agrarian society to an industrial one, and from a traditional culture to a civic culture. These are three main transformations. And over the past 40 years, China has experienced huge changes, both both yeah, in all of these areas. And then let's talk about the main issue of this book. Sorry, just now something wrong with my iPad, and I don't know what's wrong with that. Sorry for that. Then let's talk about the main issue of this. Is the power capitals represent supply and the power recipients receive function as demand, thus create a market of rent seeking. Unlike Western countries, uh, since the opening up in 1978, the Chinese government has a close relationship with the enterprises. For the central level, the central and the main state-owned enterprises has a close relationship with the central government. The local government has a close relationship with the local enterprises. That's very common in China and maybe very different from Western countries. I don't know. Sorry. And here, illustration that by definition, the powers institution is a kind of mixture. That combines and integrates political power and economic capital, essentially embedded in structure, function, norms, value, faith, discourses, governance, economic law, and ways of life. And we can see here that the power capital institution is not a single one. It's a whole system that was set up over the last 40 years. And we need to analyze the whole system rather than a single aspect of that. Uh, then let's come to this. As there's about many mistakes many scholars and researchers make when analyzing the Chinese political economy is that they often apply the Western economic theories directly into the Chinese issues, which afterwards they make many mistakes. The Chinese power capital institution, as the other hand, is designed to establish a more extensive analytic framework capable of examining a variety of hybrid phenomena, including not only the party and the state, but also the complex intersection between Chinese society, culture, and economy. China is less totalitarian and more capitalist, less methodologic and more diverse, less direct and more colorful, less isolated and more globalized. So instead of debating whether China is a totalitarian or an authoritarian state, it's my belief that the study of power capital institution affords a much more effective and and a comprehensive perspective for observing and understanding China. So, in my opinion, there is not much its significance in talking about the whether China is a socialist or capitalist country, whether China is totalitarian or a democratic country. There's no meaning in talking about that because it's just like the two sides of a ruler. Uh, there's no meaning in talking about that. And just like the author here said, there is much meaning in talking about the power capital issue and many other specific issues. That makes sense. And then let's come to here. In many Asian countries, governments often have offered social welfare at the expense of their citizens' political rights. This reminds me of the Japanese tax rate these days. Currently, the Japanese government raised the tax rate from 8% to 10%, to pay for the institution fees for children maybe under 16. So it's usually a common sense for Asian countries. But for China, just as many people may criticize the government, they made little social welfare, but cost much citizens' political rights. The poverty appears to be a result of the lack of economic rights, but the economic rights are no doubt connected to one's social and political rights. That's the main idea of this book, because this book talks about the deprivation of poverty rights, and which leads to the poverty of economy. Only a well-established and jurisdictional implemented legal system can ensure equal protection of individual rights, regardless of their social and economic status. During Maoist epoch, for instance, the poverty of rights were primarily reflected in political discrimination and related to one's family background, class origin, and the political opinions. Uh, Thus, the urban poor, rural farmers, migrant laborers, and protested home church members do not have equal opportunity to share in the growing economic pie, secure their land rights, or practice their religious belief. As you can see here, whether in Mao area or after reforming and growing up after the 1979, the development has always been at the expense of sacrifice rights of some people. So as many scholars in China said, argue that the opening up and the reforming in China is not instant. It's not like the Russia. It's a gradual or incremental reform. While economic development may be realized in quantitative terms such as an increase of GDP, social progress needs to be assessed through quantitative means with justice as its ultimate goal. This reminds me of a video I watched several days ago. It's an interview with the 2018 Nobel laureate Paul Romer. He just said that when talking about the charter cities in Honduras and Hong Kong, he just said that through the improvement of these cities, the democracy can improve and the economy will also improve. Instead, it's more constructive to investigate the non-economic price involved in China's economic growth, for only when the achievement and the price in both economic and non-economic terms are taken into account, can one reach objective, comprehensive, and accurate assess of all the overall process of China's economic development since 1978. Regardless, the study of price or economic development should abide by three bottom lines. First, it must go beyond the calculation of economic price to include the social and cultural price. Second, the price analysis should also include evaluation of both short-term and long-term effect. Third, the price evaluation has to take into consideration of both the decision maker's subjective will and the objective social effect. That's all about the introduction. Then let's come to the chapter 1. When power capital is dominant, the most important factor is in economic competition, because power rather than the market resource, human capital, and technology. And that was why Chinese firms fall behind so much compared with companies in developed countries. Maybe in these years, the Chinese companies grow fast, very quickly. But overall, it still falls much behind the Western countries. So then let's talk about how to then let's talk about kind of economy and during the first is a dual price system. It's in the 1980s in China, when the same product has two prices. One is a market price, which is higher, and the other one is the government price, is much lower. Second is a reform of property share system and a stock market. And third is the establishment of numerous joint venture corporations. And finally, the land speculation. These four things talk about how why some people earn a large amount of money, and all of these four ways has a close relationship with maybe the central government and the local government, because if you want to go become a land development corporation, you need the license from government. If you want to mining course, you also need the license from the government, which contains much rent seeking and corruption. Uh, as you can see here, they make money by abusing existing power. The second method is to seek power through monetary bribery, and the third way was to seek money or by pouring one's knowledge. The middle class, often eager to join the power capital growth, does not and cannot serve as a driving force that could propel China towards either political reform or the development of full market economy. Uh, that's why unlike many Westerns think that the Chinese want a democracy, but not the case in China. Actually, they just want the power. They just want the money, and maybe not like the Western scholars thinks. Okay, and that's all. That's all for the introduction and the chapter 1. And the next video we will talk about the chapter 2 of this book. Thank you very much.